Alright, so I was going to wait to make this video until after the gameplay trailer dropped, and as you guys saw today, it did. And a lot of people are upset. I get it. I was hoping that there was going to be, like, maybe a story mission or something we would at least see, but I get... technically, it was a gameplay shown. It's not the way that you would usually think, but it was in-engine footage. That is what the game's going to look like, minus probably a couple of FOV things. I'm trying to think of the term for it. In photography, we call it like bokeh, but it really wouldn't be bokeh. It's like the blurriness around the edge, which makes things feel real because, you know, your actual perception of reality and like your vision, that's how that is. Like, the things in the corners of your eyes are much more blurry than things that are not. But like I said, I wasn't too stoked about it. I didn't think it was that good of a trailer, but I didn't think it warranted all the hate that it got. I felt like personally, if we started hating on it, they might think this game's gonna flop and make some drastic changes, which I really don't want them to, because so far everything that you're gonna hear about in this video sounds awesome. So, like, really don't want them to change anything. So I wish the community would kind of lay off, but I understand where the community's coming from. Like, yes, it technically was a gameplay trailer. There was in-engine footage, like things in the game running, but it wasn't a gameplay trailer in the sense that, like, you know, we didn't get to see anybody like fight anything. We just got to see the world and the characters. So as most of you probably know, the new trailer for Assassin's Creed Valhalla dropped today, and we got the cinematic trailer a week ago, two weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Anyway, we got that trailer, and we got some interviews explaining some of the gameplay mechanics, because in that trailer, and I guess this current one, we really didn't see a lot of that, so we don't know anything more than what we've been told up until this point. And there have been multiple interviews, so I tried to include everything that I've seen or read, and if I missed something, feel free to leave it in the comments below. By no means am I saying this is everything we know, because I'm sure I probably missed like one or two things, but I've kind of taken every single video I've seen and article that I've read and meshed them into this one thing. So I'm going to gloss over some stuff quickly and go into more depth for different things. But the game takes place in England, as most of you can tell. You start in Norway, and you can go back to Norway whenever you want. That's going to serve as like a hub. So I don't know if there's going to be a lot to do there necessarily, but you know, you start there as you are a Viking, and you travel to England, and you start to build your settlement there, which I will get into in a second. But the main character's name is Eivor. That's how I've heard them pronounce it. I do not know if that's the technical way to pronounce it, but that is the way I've heard the developers pronounce it, so that is the way I am going to pronounce it. And that character is either a male or a female, and unlike in Odyssey, where technically those were two different characters, this is the same character, and somehow both genders are canon. The guy who wrote the story, totally blanking on his name, sorry, I doubt you're watching this, but if you are, he said that we're going to have to wait and see how they pulled that off, and I'm kind of intrigued, because how do you make two characters canon? So we will see. And continuing on with the news of the characters comes the customization, and in this game, it sounds amazing. More intense than anything we've ever seen. It really kind of sounds like Unity's, because I would say Unity had like the best customization up until this point, in my opinion. And it looks like it's going to shake up the franchise and really make this game like the character is your own, which is weird because it's not like you design the character, they're giving you the character. But in the same sense, you can customize your entire outfit. From all the loot you wear, you can customize all of your hair. It sounds like you can shave, do whatever you want. Your beard is completely customizable, so it sounds like if you want a mustache, you can do that. If you want a beard, you can. If you want to be clean shaven, you can do whatever you want. Your character does not have to look the same as anybody else's, and you can even customize your tattoos and your war paint throughout the game. So overall, character customization sounds pretty like epic in scale and just epic in general. So I'm excited for that. And with a customization system this big, obviously comes new gears and new weapons. and I don't know why I said gears. It would be new gear and new weapons. Sorry about that. And the mechanics for those weapons, you can now dual wield any combination of weapon, including shields. You see, I have heard people say that, and I'm starting to think about builds where you just do 2 shields and just for like cringeworthy sake. But yeah, maybe that's a possibility. I don't know why you would ever want to do that, but if you can, that would be hilarious. So you cannot get any sort of duplicate for this gear. So like the gear you get it one time and that's it. And they haven't really explained this super well. I've asked questions about it and tweeted at Ubisoft and tried to see if I could get some answers on it. But it sounds like any gear you get from the beginning of the game, you can use until the end of the game by upgrading all of your gear. So here's how I think they're going to do it. I think it's still going to be like a system of, oh, this is unique, rare, or this is like basic, rare, unique, legendary, or things like that. But you'll be able to get a piece at the beginning of the game, and if you get really attached to it, let's say it's basic or it's unique or whatever you want to call it, you can upgrade it all the way to the legendary version so that you can stick with things. And that's always been a big deal because I feel like I find myself a lot in Origins and Odyssey going back and just resetting weapons and gear to look like other gear that I like. So because certain sets have certain abilities, so I don't know if that's how they're doing it. That's just kind of how I'm understanding it up until this point. But for sure, you're going to be able to keep the same equipment from beginning to the end of the game. With these new weapons and this new combat system that we're going to see, it is incredibly brutal. In the original cinematic trailer, you can see a guy gets beheaded, and Ubisoft has announced that yes, it's not just a trailer feature. You can dismember people while you're fighting, which I get like, oh man, as a 20-year-old, I'm like, man, that's so cool, but it's realistic. So it really sounds like the combat is becoming way more realistic than it's ever been. And with this new combat comes new enemy types, and it sounds like we should expect 25 different enemy types. I don't remember if that is the exact correct number. It is incredibly high. I think it's 25. It might have been 25 plus, to be honest with you, but that is crazy considering in most games there's been like 5 or 9 different enemy types. There's always, like the basic attacker, there's the light guy who can move really quick and climb, there's a heavy, there's variations of heavies, but yeah, it sounds like there are a lot of different enemies that you can come across, and you really have to figure out weak points necessarily for those enemies. And the whole weak point topic I really didn't want to get into because it's not a confirmed thing, but it's kind of a theory that's going on because Ashraf, or just Ash, I'm going to call him so I don't fuck up his name, sorry, has mentioned in multiple, or it might have just been the Ubisoft interview they did where like I heard it from him directly that the big guy that's seen in the trailer, I forget what they're called like enforcers or something, they can rally enemies to fight you, and you cannot just take him head on. He has weak points. So it sounds to me like the different enemies have different ways of attacking them, so you can't just kill everybody in one shot, which I personally enjoy. I know it's probably going to piss a lot of people off, but it really seems like they are making the combat way more intense and way more realistic to what you would see in an actual RPG and an actual real life. And talking about all these enemy types, the enemies will now work together to fight you. So it sounds like, it's not one-on-one combat system anymore where one guy comes and attacks you, you kill him, then another guy comes and attacks you, you kill him. One of the pictures I saw, which is mind-bogglingly crazy to me, I'll try and throw it up on screen, is a guy jumping off of another shield to attack you. So it really, I study software engineering in college currently. That's not specifically what I do, but a lot of my classes are oriented around that. I don't know how you program that. I literally have zero clue. This engine wasn't built for that, so the only logical explanation I can come up with that is they either completely re-engineered the Anvil Next engine, or this game is on a new engine that they're just not talking about, which I could see, but more than likely they probably just reworked Anvil Next. Maybe it's always had this capability and they just never did it because they were lazy. I zero clue, but I don't know how you do it, how you get things to work together to physically fight against you. So because they're working together, you are now, everybody hated Origins and Odyssey because their combat wasn't just the, oh, let's click a button to counter and then to attack. This game is really not going to be that. My assumption is timing is going to be a huge part of the game. You know, weak points, you're going to have to focus things. You're going to have to figure out how to block multiple enemies at once. There's going to be a lot of rage dodges, I think, from this game. Probably from me, too. Because it's going to be hard, it sounds like. Maybe not like a Dark Zones level hard, or Dark Souls. Dark Zone. Been playing too much The Division lately. But, yeah, it's not going to be like a Dark Souls level hard, but it definitely sounds difficult. And then I want to go back where I talked about character customization, and I talked about changing things like tattoos. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably like, oh, I've already heard all of this information. Well, tough luck. But for those of you that haven't and are asking the question, what? How do I change tattoos? No way. That's crazy. It's with your settlement. So a huge part of this game is about building a settlement, and yes, they're being brought back, but in a way more next-gen kind of sense. This isn't just Assassin's Creed 2. It sounds like settlements will be very lively and useful, and that will be your hub for the game. So you will go back to the settlement for missions and do different things, and that is how you will progress through the story, is through your settlement and different things and interactions, and choices you make during the game can affect the way that your settlement reacts and things that happen to it, as well as your settlement can be attacked and you can have to defend it. You can go out on raids to help your settlement. You can hunt, you can fish, do all sorts of crazy stuff. And with settlements, obviously comes NPCs, and these new NPCs that join your settlement can be met throughout the world, it sounds like, and used for things like raids or the defensive abilities when you're being attacked, as well as many other things. And also they're supposed to be incredibly customizable, just like your character is. And this is where the online aspect that was rumored for this game comes in. It sounds like you can share NPCs between your friends. So you can build custom badass Viking dude and then send it to your friend's settlement, and they can use it for raids and vice versa. Your settlement also has a big factor with those NPCs on your political alliances and the relationships with people, it sounds like. So these choices can affect all of those alliances and relationships, as well as those relationships can affect your choices. It kind of sounds like the game is trying to take what Odyssey sort of did and make it better, which I appreciate. I loved Odyssey, didn't have any problems with it. That's not true, I had a couple problems with it, but I certainly didn't hate it as much. But yeah, it definitely sounds like this is a way bigger telltale level of your actions have consequences.
What will you learn? That your actions have consequences!
Some more story-related news. If you don't want any of this to be spoiled for you, I would suggest you skip ahead a little bit, but there's not going to really be any spoilers. Basically, they've said that you don't start out as an assassin, you were just a Viking, and then like in Black Flag, where Edward meets the assassins, and you kind of realize, like, hey, you have mutual interests in what you're trying to do. You join the assassins, and from there on, the story progresses, and it sounds like this happens really early on. So I wouldn't expect it to be like a Black Flag where it takes like a hot minute. Also, it sounds like Norse mythology is going to be huge throughout the game. I mean, in the trailer, we see Odin, for instance, and his crow, which, by the way, the crow is now your eagle. You do not use an eagle, you use a crow. So that's cool. It's crow vision now, not eagle vision. But yeah, for the people that want more realistic things, obviously, sorry. We're getting Norse mythology, and it sounds to be like a huge part of the game because Ash said that he can't really reveal much about it since it's going to include major spoilers. So that's all we really know up until this point. And the nice thing is for those people that complained, like, oh man, all this mythical crap, like, I don't want to experience it. Well, good, you don't have to. You do not have to play the story to beat the game. You can get to the same end game as everybody that plays through the entire story simply by hunting and fishing. So if you want to be lame and not experience anything and sit in your parents' basement and complain about how this isn't historically accurate, even though it's a video game, and just be a gigantic nerd, then feel free to hunt and fish for your settlement, and you can beat the game just like me while I play through the story and hunt and fish also. So I don't understand how that's possible. It kind of makes me think the ending might be kind of lame, but I don't know, like, maybe there's different endings depending on your choices. So that's like, if you just want to hunt and fish, you get a different ending than I do. But at the end of the day, the game is still over and you've still reached endgame. So you can reach endgame without having to play a single bit of story. So if none of you nerds want to see the, mythical stuff, which is the cool shit in the video game, you don't have to. Sorry for, like, personally attacking you, but I get incredibly aggravated by the people that are like, well, this game's not historically accurate. Well, none of the games are, because assassins aren't real. So, congratulations, you played yourself. That's about all I've heard. There's a few bits and pieces of things that I know I probably missed. Feel free to leave them in the comments below. Feel free to dislike this video if you're one of those nerds that I mentioned below. I really don't have any problem with you. It's a bit, I promise. I don't care. Like, I play the game how you fucking want. I'm gonna play it how I want. Just don't bitch. That's all I care about. Just don't bitch. I try to do update videos like this, like, once a week to once a month. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like down below. Dislike if you did not enjoy the video and you hate my cringy ass comedy and my update videos, and subscribe for more. Peace.